The Toronto real estate market is starting to tighten up. In other words, the gap between supply and demand is narrowing, and we're seeing an uptick in prices as well. Does this mean that the recent interest rate cuts are starting to shift the market? In this video, we're going to take a look at the October market stats, focusing specifically on the city of Toronto and looking at inventory levels and average sale prices for detached homes, semi-detached homes, and condo apartments. And by the end of the video, you're going to have a much better understanding of what's happening in each one of those different segments. So if you're someone who's thinking of making a move anytime soon, you're going to want to stick around and watch. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jason from the Bondy-Sawyer real estate team here in the city of Toronto. Now, I've been helping buyers and sellers make smart real estate moves since 2006. If you ever want to book a call with me to discuss your real estate plans, you can do so using that first link down in the description. And if you find any value in this particular video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so that you see more of our videos in the future. So I want to start off with a few quotes from TREB's October Market Watch report. While we are still early in the Bank of Canada's rate cutting cycle, it definitely does appear that an increasing number of buyers moved off the sidelines and back into the marketplace in October. The positive affordability picture brought about by lowering borrowing costs and relatively flat home prices prompted this improvement in market activity. And then further down in the report, it says market conditions did tighten in October, but there is still a lot of inventory and therefore choice for home buyers. This choice will keep home price growth moderate over the next few months. However, as inventory is absorbed and home construction continues to lag population growth, selling price growth will accelerate, likely as we move through the spring of 2025. So those two quotes do a great job of summing up the overall picture of what happened in October. But as I've said many times on this channel before, press releases and headlines typically focus on the macro numbers. And each different segment of the market actually has its own individual story to tell. So taking the time to look at the numbers of a few different home types here in the city is going to give us a more nuanced picture of what's happening in the market right now. Let's start with detached houses. Now, in October, we saw an almost 40% month-over-month increase in the number of detached sales in the 416. The year-over-year number was even bigger, with sales there jumping up a whopping 43%. So sales were obviously up in a very big way. But when we look at active listings, neither the month-over-month nor the year-over-year numbers kept pace with those big increases in sales. In other words, the growth in number of sales outpaced the growth in number of active listings. And that is why the market tightened up in October. And this is illustrated here on the next line with months of inventory. And just a quick recap, months of inventory is how we measure the relationship between supply and demand by taking all of the active listings, which is all of the listings that are on the market on the last day of the month, and we divide those by all of the sales that happened over the course of the month. So active listings divided by number of sales equals months of inventory. For example, let's say we have 2 months of inventory. If no new listings were to come on the market, it would take 2 months for us to completely sell out of all the existing listings. In other words, 1 out of every 2 listings is selling every month. So you can see here that in October, we had 2.81 months of inventory, which is less than what we had in both September and October of last year. And 2.18 months of inventory is a seller's market. And looking at the next line, we can see how this tightening of inventory is affecting sale prices. Looking at the average sale price, it increased 5.5% month over month and 3.5% year over year. Moving on to semi-detached houses now. In October, we saw a 57% month over month increase in the number of sales. The year-over-year number was a big one too, with sales there jumping up almost 46%. So the growth there was even more pronounced than it was in the detached segment. Again though, active listings did not keep pace and the market in this segment tightened up as well. In October, we had just 1.82 months of inventory, which is less than what we had in both September and last October. And once you start getting under 2 months of inventory, you are very much in a seller's market. Looking at the average sale price, it increased 1.2% month over month and 2.9% year over year. And lastly, moving on to condo apartments, in October, we saw a 34.5% month over month increase in the number of sales. Year over year, sales were up almost 32%. So sales in the condo market were up quite a bit in October, but not quite as much as detached or semi-detached. Looking at the active listings, the story there is somewhat similar as well. Again though, not as pronounced as the other two segments that we're looking at. In October, we had 5.06 months of inventory, which, like the other two segments, is less than what we had in both September and last October. And you can see, looking back to September, we were actually in a buyer's market territory at over 7 months of inventory. Whereas in October, we tightened up a bit and we entered more of a balanced market at just over 5 months of inventory. Now, looking at the average sale price, it did go up month over month, 1.9%, but it actually went down year over year, 1.1%. So interesting to note that this was the only segment here where prices actually decreased year over year. So you can see that yes, the market in the 416 is indeed tightening up, both on a month over month and a year over year basis. And sale prices are starting to creep up as well. So if you're thinking of making a move anytime soon, just give me a shout and I'd be happy to chat about what might be the best strategy for your situation. Over here are a couple of other videos I think that you're gonna find valuable, and over here is a link to subscribe to the channel. That's it for now, and we'll see you next time.